Welcome to People First Builders, celebrating leaders in construction who build success through their people. My name is Fletcher Wimbush, your host. I'm the CEO of Discover.ai, a performance hiring software helping small and mid-sized AEC companies solve their hardest problem, people. We help people first leaders install and execute repeatable talent acquisition systems that drive business results by hiring top performers, lowering turnover, and building world-class company cultures. Stick around to the end and you can learn more about how to become a guest on our podcast and share your story with the world. All right, welcome to the People First Builders podcast. I'm Fletcher Wimbush, your host. Today, I'm really excited to have Brandon Stanchock here with me. He is the CEO of SWF Industrial with over a decade of leadership and project management experience in the industrial sector. His approach to leadership blends deep operational insight with a commitment to authenticity and team alignment.
Dang.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, I already know that you're probably going to be a really fun guy to talk about just based on all the pre-game information that you've given us. What brought you to us today? Why are you here on this podcast? You know, tell us a little bit about your mission in life and the story you want to tell.
Yeah. One, I do a bit of this myself as a little bit of a side hobby. So I know your side of it. So I like sitting on this side of it every once in a while to kind of refocus what it is to be a host or a guest. So kind of be a little empathetic to the other side of the chair. Yeah. Two, my story, I've finally, I think, figured out my values in life, and it's humor and filling people's potential or my own. So that's kind of the path I'm on right now, and whatever day job, night job, whatever that entails, that's what I'm trying to do.
I like it. So tell me about I think about like this real authenticity. I mean, you know, when you look at if somebody goes and checks out your LinkedIn profile and right. And obviously
it's a disaster.
Right. Well, but it's being authentic. So, and obviously you don't like to take yourself too seriously. So tell us a little bit about that. You know, when did you embrace that piece of yourself, I guess? And, you know, I could imagine maybe there was a time in your career where you maybe tried to hold that back, right?
Yeah. I would say humor has always been a huge part of my life. I think for a long, long time, I like making people laugh. I like that whole aspect of things. But in the sense of like really leaning into just kind of going with the person I am, it was probably a couple of years ago when I was in power plant construction for 10 years. I probably didn't. You know, I wasn't really into social media. I didn't really get into that whole neck of the woods. And then I started really taking it seriously last year. But before that, I was always myself, but I didn't really put it out into the world. Like I never really changed when I would meet people face to face, but now it's more being front footed. And most of that is around, I'm not a salesperson, and this is my way of selling not only what we do at SWF, but also myself and the things that I'm really interested in and trying to help people with. So there's a lot of vanilla on social media, especially in LinkedIn. So I think it's very easy I shouldn't say it's very easy. I should say it looks very different when you're not the same and you are a little bit less business on LinkedIn and just tell your personal story. So that's what I've been trying to do. And I think it's made a massive difference on transparency of who I am, talking to certain people, getting in touch with SMEs, running the podcast, getting more business for the work that we do at SWF. So it's kind of multi-pronged.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I'm probably on the other end of the spectrum as you. I'm like this super direct. Anybody like disc people, I'm like the most extreme D you could ever meet. And so, I mean, I like to have a good time too. Don't get me wrong, but when I'm at work, man, I'm just like go, go, go. Like, and I'm like really direct and really assertive. And I realized like 7 or 8 years ago, I built a little team of recruiters, and I think I really tried to hold back that, you know, and then when things got rough, that D really came out, and then they were just like railroaded. They were like, I don't know, who is this guy I'm working with here. And then I just said to myself, you know what, I'm never going to not be myself again. So I like that. Now you're on the more fun side of this equation, but I imagine there's, again, this is resistance to maybe being playful in a very serious environment, I guess,
Mm.
right? I could see uh holding back that, as you feel like this cuts both ways, that sometimes you're like too playful and like, some of the clients or people that you deal with, they don't take you seriously enough, or
Mm.
you ever run into a challenge there, or is it just been all better since you've embraced this?
Um, That's a great question. I would say, and I mean, knowing your audience is huge. Like, I'm not obviously going to be like, if we have an incident or let's say we have an issue on site, right? And I'm
Yeah.
having a customer meeting, like, know your audience and know how to play that. But I do think you can bring levity. I mean, if you want to talk about serious industries, construction is probably up there on the
Yeah.
list, right?
Yeah.
Like, we take ourselves way too seriously. And directness is kind of a badge of honor, right? In our world. And I don't totally agree with all of that. I think even when things get really tough, I think that softness or even that levity can go a long way, because
Yeah.
you're just going to add to the stress. And I think there's ways to manage that, but I do think it's hard. So I haven't run into a situation where I had to go, I don't know if I played that right, but I do try to take a lot of research going into. For instance, I looked up, I listened to your podcast, looked you up, made sure I understand what I was walking into, and really reading the book of Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, would change that. And it was only like 2 years ago, where it was like that intensity, or what's the right word I'm looking for,
Here.
intentionality,
Yeah.
going into anything with anyone, knowing you can learn something from everyone, like being very intentional about that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And so when we think about like people first leaders, I think this kind of empathy, this care, this, this ability to sort of break down the break the ice, or, make the interactions between a leader and their team a little less serious, or to just make it a little more fun. I could see that potentially having a huge amount of value in
Huge.
building loyal teams that are just more excited to come to work every day. Tell me a little bit about that journey for you. I mean, we're, tell us about like getting involved with your current company and your progression there as a leader, and what were, were there some horror stories? Were there some big challenges? And
Mm.
how did you apply this uh, approach to being a leader to the business? And what kind of outcomes did it produce for you? You think?
Yeah, so I was in power plant construction for 10 years. And so this was my father-in-law's business. He started in 84. I came over simply because he was going through some health issues. He had early Alzheimer's dementia.
Mm.
And so at that point in time, the succession plan wasn't exactly clear. So I was coming over with construction experience to help out. And that was in 2018. So kind of stepped into that, kind of like a VP role, trying to find my feet, figure out, like, I was a manager for 2 years at that point in time, so I didn't really have any clue what I was doing. So went through leaning into what I knew well, which was collaboration, project management. I've seen tons of different teams in my years of traveling for 8 years in power plant construction. I got to see what was good, what worked, what didn't work, and then just tried to kind of figure the best out. And then through peer groups, reading, and just trying to better myself, end up being like, okay, I can't stay as this person today, so I'm going to continue to grow in that space. But always leaning into the humor piece, always bringing that side of it to calm things down a bit, because it can get pretty all industries, I feel, can bring a lot of heat and bring a lot of intensity, and so trying to keep that at a balance. I've always kind of led with that, but yeah, it was, when I came in, we had a lot of rules. We got rid of a lot of rules. Everybody worked 50 hours a week. We
That
don't
was a
do that
rule. That was
anymore.
a rule.
That was a rule. If the shop was on 50, everybody was on 50.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So we made some major changes, lots of flexibility, but we have a lot of accountability that goes with that. So I don't know, it seems to be working.
So how do you pare back the rules, and how do you go from like, we got to work 50 hours a week to, okay, no, actually we can work 40 and still be as productive? I mean, that's a pretty interesting one. And any effect
Yeah.
in terms of retention or ability to attract the right people that you saw there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We have a 12% turnover rate. Our industry average is 37.
Yeah.
We have a almost a 9-year retention. Um, statistic. Construction's usually 4 to 4.5. So we're double construction. So yeah, all of that made a huge difference. We also have I walked into really loyal, amazing management team, just company in general. So Al was really good at hiring people, and keeping long-term employees already, even with the rules and things like that. But most of it, one of the first things I did when I got there was walked around and asked everyone 3 things they hated about working there, and then just put it into a spreadsheet, and then just started trying to fix the things that were super annoying.
What were the top 3?
Point system. So we had a point system for like missing work or whatever, right?
Okay.
So that whole thing. Some of the other ones were weird, like certain vacation policies after holidays or coming to work after holidays and taking vacation. Some rules around vacation around 4-hour increments, which was annoying to people. So we got that down to 1-hour increments. Just some random stuff to really like expansive stuff that took us many years to kind of comb through and sort out. But yeah, just giving some flexibility and levity to a lot of that conversation.
Yeah. So flexibility, like making work a little more human, I guess, right? That we all, our needs in our day-to-day lives are different. And, if I can't take a vacation after Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving, then, that kind of sucks because my wife's a teacher and,
Sure.
she has the week off and now we can't go anywhere ever. Right. Or something like that. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, yeah, 12% turnover. Tell us about the company itself, so we have a little more context. You guys are doing metal fabrication. What kind of people you have in the team? You have folks in a manufacturing facility. You've got trades out in the field.
170 people. We have about 110 fabricators between 2 locations. Probably another 30 to 32 in the field, and then the rest would be staff. So PMs, obviously, any admin or office staff, safety, quality, all that kind of stuff. So,
what kind of projects you guys typically working on?
Anything that's made of metal and you can't buy in a catalog, literally. Okay. So we do carbon, stainless, aluminum, lots of food, pharma, beverage, lots of structural, lots of anything. We don't build buildings, but anything in them, we pretty much build. And once again, we don't do a lot of repeat. Almost all of it's custom.
Okay. So these are all environments. I mean, so you have a high number of trades or craftsman type people. I mean, these are types of environments, again, where you typically do see extraordinarily high turnover. Mm-hmm. And for you to be able to keep those numbers down to 12% is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to, dig into that more. I mean, what else are you doing there to, obviously eliminating turnover? That's your best hiring solution, right? You don't have to go out and be recruiting and attracting people all the time. But every once in a while you got to hire. So how do you go about, attracting folks in your environment?
I'd say we're pretty both of our shops are pretty awesome in the sense of like, it's not dirty, grungy, grimy. Like we have a really clean space to work, lots of technology, pretty active on social media. I'm obviously pretty active on there as well. Just for promote, because I'm not a social mixer person. That's my way of getting myself out there without having to go to golf courses and shit like that. The other piece of it, we spend a lot of time at the local trade schools, doing tours and things like that. And then we have kind of crazy from a retention standpoint. We have a company book club. We're going on the second version of it. First time we had about 26 people. Now we have 36 people signed up for the second one.
Okay. You getting the fabricators into the book club?
They're in more than the office staff.
Okay. All right. So these guys that are, they're greasy and they've got metal shavings all over them. No problem.
Yep. 7:30 a.m. on Monday and 7:30 a.m. on Friday.
What was the last book you guys read?
We read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, there you go. So they're into even like that kind of a book?
Dude. And Atomic Habits is the next one.
That's a great book.
I told everybody I could possibly tell about this. Like, it is the best self-help leadership and collaboration class I for $300 will ever pay for.
Oh, guaranteed. Wow. So you bringing in the author? What's his name?
No, I just mean like, so we read 10 to 12 pages and then we have 6 people who talk about what those pages meant to us. But like the cross collaboration, the seeing yourself in a different light, seeing
Yeah.
things that you may be doing right, maybe doing wrong, like all of that stuff packaged into 30 minutes every Monday and every Friday has been life-changing for people.
Yeah. The sharing of takeaways, right? That's one
Oh,
way to absorb information, right? It's not that you just read it, but you come back and you say, "This is what I got from that."
yeah,
And now you're
yeah,
almost teaching it to the rest of the group, right? Then
yeah,
now you that becomes ingrained in your mind or your being of how you operate, right?
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
phenomenal. Yeah.
And even just like team members who don't normally get to see each other or work together, whether that be field, office, or shop, different shop. We have 2 different locations. So like getting to know people that you don't normally get to see and then seeing them and being like, hey, book
Yeah.
club. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy the dynamic and the for $330 worth of books, what it's given us. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
So you pay for the books and then the donuts
Yeah.
or whatever, the coffee
Yeah,
in the
it's all
morning.
virtual.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
all virtual.
We don't need, yeah,
You
because
do.
we have people all over the place.
Okay. So you guys do it on like a Zoom then,
Mhm.
and these guys are just showing up, in the
Yep.
morning in their
Yep.
basement and
Yep.
before they even come to work, they're
No, I
doing
mean
it.
7:30 usually at work. We've had a
Yeah.
person in their tree stand who's on vacation hunting. We've had people on the job site. We've had people. Most of the shop people would just go to their car
Yeah.
and jump on. It's pretty easy
Wow.
to figure out once you set it up, but it's been I would say everyone should do it.
Wow. All right. All right. So when you're attracting folks, I mean, how have you guys done with the employee referral program? I would imagine with such a loyal workforce, you must be getting a pretty, good volume of
Yeah.
quality referrals from your existing team, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, not only that, but we've seen quite a change in the trade schools and the people coming out of the trade schools. I would
Okay.
say probably only 3 years ago, it was more of a last resort. And now we're getting it's a career choice.
Okay.
So we would
So
hire 10 kids out of the trade schools and we'd probably keep half or maybe 3 or 4. Now we're
okay.
keeping 9 to 10 pretty much every time because people are coming in hungry. They want to learn. They're very focused. It's a completely different caliber of person.
So this is at the core of the problem in the trades, right? Is not enough people want to be in the trades. And this is
Mhm.
the kind of the biggest complaint. So you're highlighting something that I think is absolutely crucial. So what are you seeing? Why is this changing from your opinion? Or maybe you have some stats, whatever you can bring to us here. But you're saying that the kids coming into these trade schools are much more intentional. They want to be there. They're embracing this path. And before, what was wrong with them? They just were sort of doing half-heartedly, or like
Well,
they
I think
just,
it was like I said, a last resort for them, for some of them,
yeah,
right? It was, I don't have any other option. I'm not a college person, so I guess I'll go do this.
yeah. And
Where
so,
this is actually a career choice, not a last option.
so the difference is this mindset. The kids are saying, "I want to be in this career. I see this as a great opportunity, and actually something that I'm going to like. I think I'm going to like doing this."
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
go
and I
into
think it's
that.
I think it's highlighting the skill set of what you're coming with. There's very little or no debt in some of these programs.
Yeah,
Even if it is debt, a lot of companies will pay for it.
yeah.
So that's another thing. I think this
I take
minimalist
it you
mentality.
guys cover that then.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah,
certainly do for some of them. We have
yeah,
high school kids that come in and do an internship with us and then want to go to trade school after that, or you can get into apprenticeship programs. I mean, there's tons of options out there, but I think the minimalist mentality of no debt, figuring out life. There's lots of overtime in the construction or trades industries because there's not enough people. The path for career growth is huge
yeah.
because you have this huge gap of people who are retiring, who are superintendents, project managers, and just leaders in general that we're going to have to progress people who are probably fairly new very quickly because those roles have to be filled. So it's not only just the coming in and starting out, it's the progression path is going to be, I think, super fast for a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's way better than, no offense to all the kids that went through a construction management degree and then came into construction and never necessarily swung a hammer, right? I mean, yeah, many of them, yeah, been successful in
That's
construction.
100% me.
Yeah, 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 I get it. Yeah, I mean, when I was 22, I went and built delis all over the country for my
Sick.
stepfather, and I'd never swung a hammer in my life
Yeah.
or turned a wrench. I mean, barely, maybe, and that was a big part of my job. I was out there like running conduit and
Yeah.
soldering pipe and welding, and I was doing stuff that I never thought I'd ever do in my entire life. And now my wife thinks I'm like the coolest guy ever because I can fix things around the house. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
That's my big argument as well. Like, it's not only the skills you're going to get at work. Like, I have to go hire someone to fix something at my house.
yeah,
And I have to go pay somebody probably $150, $100 to $200 an hour to go fix that thing.
yeah,
Where the skills you're learning at work, you can actually take home. And it's not only the money you're getting paid on an hourly basis, it's the money you're saving at home by being able to do things yourself that compounds. And you're learning new skills as you're going along. So you can just continually, make that evolution. And a side hustle could be helping idiots like me fix stupid things in my house.
Yeah. Well, and it's a sense of pride too. Like whatnot. I fixed my main sewer line one time,
Look
and
at you,
I did it myself because of all that experience that I had, and and it was like a hobby. It was like I'm having fun doing this, like renting the backhoe and my front yard, and my neighbors are like, "What's this guy doing?"
That's a couple $1,000 you saved yourself for sure.
Yeah, well, more than that probably. I mean, I think it was like the plumber quoted me like 15 grand. I think I did it for like 2, less.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But it was like fun. I had fun doing that, right? But then when you but if you take some kid who's gone through this path and they've gone through this internships and this vocational school and they've done the frontline grunt work out in the field or fabricating in the shop, and then they become a foreman and they become a superintendent and they become a project manager, they're actually well suited to go into those levels of leadership or even to their own entrepreneurial path should they choose to go down that, I would assume, right?
Yeah, so South Central Pennsylvania is actually pretty stacked with industrial contractors because many of them followed that same path. I mean, that was Al. Al was a fabricator and then said, you know what? I could do this. Right. And then started a company and went from 1 to 140 people, in half a lifetime, which is pretty crazy. Our COO, Brian's been with us for 40 years. He was employee number 6 on the floor.
Yeah.
Right. So like 65% of our project managers were all people that either worked on the floor or in the field. So that is absolutely the path, and running projects for places like Hershey and like huge food and pharma and beverage companies, like that is absolutely a world people live in, and are needed, because having the skill set while going on site and talking about the work you can perform and how you would perform it in your mind and seeing it, that's a skill the whole country needs.
Yeah, that's way different, right? If you have that ability to dig into the details of how it's going to get done and to understand the problem at its core, because you've been there and you've solved that problem by you're the one there in the trenches or under the machine turning a wrench or having to like really troubleshoot it, is way different than a construction management professional who's just sort of maybe conceptually understands this. They don't really truly understand it, right?
100%. That's why I have so much respect for what we do, because I know going out there, one, it's so crazy because my dad can literally build anything. And I just didn't pay attention when I was obviously younger, but like the simplest things, taking flat sheets of any metal or anything and building it into tanks and things that we use literally all over the place is just phenomenal. Yeah. So I just, it's incredible.
Well, I'd say, I mean, that story alone, that, so much of your leadership team has come from the front lines and from the trade itself is a story that I don't think I hear very often in the construction industry, period, frankly. So I think that's a great kind of moral to the story here today is, as you're thinking about scaling your business, obviously, you can hire from outside, you can run job ads on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn or wherever, and you can try to find the best of the best, but ultimately without a long-term strategy of developing people and one that starts from the very beginning. So pulling these kids out of high school, running them through the trade schools or through an apprenticeship or internship program, and just flat out investing in them, developing them to become, great craftsmen, and then ultimately into leaders, is just a great sustainable way to grow a company. And I would think one that fosters a culture, that is phenomenal. I mean, if you have low turnover, your culture can't be bad, right? You're not chaining them to the warehouse here, are you?
They choose to come back every Monday.
They choose back. Oh, really? Go figure. So that is absolutely amazing, Brandon. I think that's a story that needs to be told. And I think, hopefully you can continue to be out there and champion that. We're going to do our best to champion your story for you as well and share this with as many people that come across our way. Is there, any particular, audience that you'd like to connect with, or how can we best connect with you, Brandon?
No, I'm just pretty active on LinkedIn. So I would say if you have any questions around anything with how to build a good culture, or, if you need anything fabricated out of metal or personal branding, I'm a novice YouTuber, I would say, as well. So enjoy that piece, starting a podcast, all that fun stuff. So if you're into any of that stuff and you have any questions, just find me on LinkedIn at Brandon Stanchock.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that your contact information is available in the show notes, and
cool.
As we repost this on LinkedIn and the other social channels, and you guys can run Brandon down. And yeah, I think obviously if I had the choice to hire a metal fabricator that has 100% turnover, which I imagine some of your competitors probably do, because when I talk to these guys, some of them have some atrocious turnover versus one that has 12% turnover. I would probably want to hire you guys, knowing that their team is very stable and consistent, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, the culture is the competitive advantage you can't buy.
Exactly, right. And we talk about that all the time with our clients. Is, hey, you make your company a place of employment, or be the employer of choice for your ideal candidates, right? And that it really has to start there, and it doesn't always start there. That's an evolution. It can take time to become that, right? I mean, if you are experiencing 100% turnover, 200% turnover, it's not going to just light switch all of a sudden, be a great place to work. But with some intentionality, it can change, and it's going to show. And I would imagine that results in loyal customers as well, right? They see the quality work.
Yeah, I would go back to where we started with the authenticity. Like, you don't have to fit the statistics. Like, I know certain industries are known for having high turnover, right? Hospitality, some of those things. So like, you don't have to fit that mold. You just have to, I think happy people are efficient people, and they want to stay if they're happy. So just try to make people happy. Yeah.
So focus on the people on your team first and foremost, and then the business outcomes will just naturally follow, right?
100%.
Yeah, a lot of great takeaways here, Brandon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening to our People First Builders podcast. If you're a successful construction CEO and would like to tell your story on this program, please visit our podcast homepage, FletcherWimbush.com/peoplefirstbuilders, or check it out in the notes below. If you got something out of this interview and would like to share the episode on the socials, we always appreciate that. Just take a quick screenshot with your phone, text it to a friend, or post it to the socials. If you know someone who might be a great guest, tag them on social and let them know. And don't forget, #PeopleFirstBuilders. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We're regularly putting out new content. To make sure that you don't miss out on any episodes, go ahead and hit subscribe on your favorite podcast channel. Your thumbs up and ratings and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more? Go to our website, FletcherWimbush.com, or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.